Hello, and this week I'm going to be demonstrating the final move, move 18 of the shibashi set. Just a reminder that shibashi does mean 18 in Chinese. And it's also the final move of the short set that I normally lead in this meditation. So it's one that you really do need to understand. The point of this move is it's called balancing the chi, because that's actually what it's trying to do. When you've gone through the full 18 moves of the shibashi set, you've been moving your energy around, you've been filling your body up with energy, you've been pulling energy in from outside, you've been moving your energy every which way but loose. However, for your energy to be available when you need it, it needs to be returned to the lower dantian, which is where your chi, the chi that you call on, is meant to reside according to traditional Chinese medicine. Technically speaking, it's a little bit behind and a little bit down from your belly button. So, with balancing the chi, it's actually a very simple move. You just have your arms out, palms up. Remember to have your arms long, loose and light. And start at the bottom, and as you breathe in, imagine that you're feeling around a small ball. And then as you breathe out, you just push it down. Now, one thing I often say when I'm leading this move is keep this move small. Take your hands no higher than your heart, because your heart is obviously, well, probably around about there. The point is, the lower dantian runs from the feet to there, the middle dantian from there to there, and the upper dantian from there to there. So if you bring your hands up too high, you're actually bringing them into the middle dantian, and you don't want to do that because you're trying to get the energy all the way back to where it's needed. So, hands no higher than your heart. It's actually a very, very simple move. Hands in, run them around that ball, which means turning the palms over. As you breathe out, just let your hands gently sink down. For those of you who've got interested in hand positions, they start off in the yin position to run around the ball, and then as you breathe out, they slightly shift and go into a yang position. That's all part of the balancing. And that's how that final move, balancing the chi, is actually done. Next week, I will look at the standing zen, which, although it's not technically counted as a move, is still a very important part of the whole shibashi set. Now, normally this is the point at which I'd say, right, get yourself ready for our short qigong set. I'm not doing that today for reasons which I will explain. Okay, some of you will know I've had a rather painful hip, and standing for too long and making certain movements is rather painful. And one of the core tenets of qigong is that you shouldn't be doing anything that causes you pain. This means that I am not doing the moves anywhere near as well as I would like to be able to properly lead you through them. So I've decided that, as this group is called Qigong and Mindfulness, for the rest of today I'm going to focus on mindfulness more in more detail. Normally I would hope that the Qigong, as you do it, would be a very, very mindful experience, because I'm encouraging you to focus on your breath, to, you know, be aware of how your arms and legs and every bit of you feels, to be aware of your core muscles. And that is one way of being mindful. Now, obviously, I normally end the sessions with a mindfulness meditation. And to be honest, when you mention the word mindfulness, most people automatically put the word meditation after it. And in some ways, that's a pity. It's so much more than just meditation. I sometimes say at the beginning of the meditations, mindfulness is not about clearing your mind. It's about being aware of what your mind is doing. In its broadest sense, mindfulness isn't just being aware of what your mind is doing, but it's about being aware of signals that your body is sending you at the moment, the ouch signal that I'm getting from my hip at times. It's being aware when you're outside of the sun in your face, the rain falling onto you, a gentle breeze, the sound of the bird song, the sound of the traffic. It's being aware of everything that's going on in that moment. Why in that moment? Because if you're focusing on what's happening right here, right now, trust me, there is a limit to how much your mind can think of. You can focus on, I think it's 7 plus or minus 2 things at one time. But there really is a limit. And if you're focusing on everything that's going on in this moment, whether it's your breath or the sunshine or the sounds that you can hear or any signals that you're getting from your body, that means you are not going back to the past and worrying about something that went on. You know, maybe you had an argument with somebody. And also, you're not thinking about the future. You're not worrying. You're not going into all those what ifs. And actually, at its heart, mindfulness is based on a very, very Buddhist philosophy, which says that nothing is permanent, and that stress and distress are caused when we have become too attached to a person, a particular outcome, not accepting that in life anything can happen. Now, this does make it all sound very, very detached and a bit cold and unfeeling. Actually, it's not. It's far from it. But to take a simple example, one that I think most of you will relate to, you can get the I'll be happy when syndrome. I'll be happy when I've passed that exam. I'll be happy when I've met the man of my dreams and got married. I'll be happy when I've lost 6 stone in weight, or whatever your goal is. The truth is, and if any of you have ever, you know, had that thought and you've worked hard towards a goal, the chances are that when you get there, you're left thinking, right, well, okay, well, now what do I do? Because taking the example of losing weight, which is probably the one that most people will be familiar with, all the concept of how I look, that, you know, there is an ideal way to look, and when I look that way, everything's going to be great and I'm going to be happy. Because the sad truth is that how we feel about ourselves is much more important for happiness than the physical outside of our bodies. So, you know, so many people have found that they've lost all the weight, but they're still not happy. And that is actually the cause of yo-yo dieting. You think, oh, go on a diet, I'll lose the weight. And you lose the weight, but what you haven't lost is the thought patterns and the emotions that probably led you to put the weight on in the first place. So you get to your ideal weight and you're still you. Up here, you're still you, and you're still not happy, whatever that means to you. So, mindfulness is all about stopping that I'll be happy when thing. And it's a way that you can recognise happiness and contentment in each moment. So I'm going to do a rather different approach to mindfulness today. I haven't even got my singing bowl with me. And what I would like you to do is just to sit or lie or stand, get yourself comfortable. And as we normally would do, I want you to bring your focus to your breath. Just keeping your mind focused on every in-breath and every out-breath, because that's a great way of keeping your mind focused in every moment. And then you can close your eyes or not, it's entirely up to you. But I want you to imagine that you're standing on the edge of a field. Now this is a field that you walk across every single day. There's a very well-worn path that you can see that you walk every day. You know this path like the back of your hand. You don't have to think to walk along there, it's just automatic. But today something's different. Today you look at the path and you realise that that actually might not be the best way to get you to where you want to go. So, not quite sure what's got into you, but you decide you're going to take a different path. You're going to take a different route, and there actually isn't a proper path there. But you carry on walking, and no, it's not easy. You haven't got a path, so you're having to break new ground. But you don't give up. You keep on. And you get to the other side of the field and to where you want to go. The next day, you're back to make the same journey. And as you set out, you realise you can actually see a faint path where you walked yesterday. You can still see the old path, but you can see the new path. So you thought, right, okay, it was actually a better journey. It was a bit more interesting. I'm going to go along that new way. And so you walk along the new path that you made for yourself yesterday. As you walk, you can look over, you can see the old path, and you can actually see that things are starting to grow. And as you repeat this day after day, the new path, the better path that gets you to where you want to go, becomes clearer and easier. And you can see that the old path is getting overgrown. You wouldn't want to go that way anymore. It'd be really hard work. Now, use your imagination. Our thoughts create paths in the neurons in our brain. You've got into ways of thinking. We all do. And there are certain well-worn paths that you take automatically. But they may not be the best path. But if you practice and put some hard work in, you can find new ways of thinking. You can beat down that new path across the field that gets you where you want to go in a better way. And every day, as you practice the new method of thinking, or every day as you just, in your imagination, take the path across the field, every day you're laying down new paths, better paths that lead you to better thought patterns. Now I want you to bring your attention back to your breath. Let the image of the field go. Bring your attention back to your breath. Just focus on every in-breath and every out-breath. And every time your thoughts want to wander away, if you've been doing these sessions with me regularly, you'll know what to do. Just gently lead your mind back to focusing on your breath, because it's your mind. You can think about what you want to think about. It's your choice. You no longer have to be in that automatic way of thinking that leads you down a path that means you really don't feel that good. There's lots of new ideas here for you to think about. Because changing the way we think and feel makes a fundamental change in who we are. And I know that can be frightening. But if you can make a change and make you a new and improved you, wouldn't that be good? But I'll let you into a secret. There's actually nothing wrong with who you are. You've just got to learn to see yourself and think in a different way. Because you're not broken and you don't need to be fixed. And think about that. And then once again, bring your awareness back to your breath, focusing on every in-breath and every out-breath. Bringing yourself into this moment. Not telling yourself off when your mind, as it will, wants to go off in a different direction. Just gently leading it back to your breath. See your breath as an anchor that can anchor you into this moment, can anchor you into stillness and calmness. And then your attention starts to move outwards and become aware of the room and the sounds inside and outside of the room. And if you had your eyes closed, open them. Bring yourself back to completely normal awareness. But don't rush off. Take a moment just to sit and gather your thoughts. Some people will say they don't have time to practice mindfulness. There's always an excuse. And I'll be honest, I used to be the same. And if I was wearing my proper Tai Chi t-shirt, it would say on it, Tai Chi Qigong, a way of life, showing that I practice my Tai Chi every day. And it's, can I know, sometimes be a struggle for people to find time to do something every day. But when you're doing something that is mindful, whether it's the mindful movement of Qigong or yoga or Pilates, all three can be all three are mindful. Whether it's meditation, whether it's just sitting staring at a candle flame or just listening to some nice music, when you're doing something that encourages you to be mindful of this present moment, do you know something magical happens? Because people who practice mindfulness every day are actually more productive. So if you're a busy person, it shouldn't be a case of, can I find time for mindfulness? It should be a case of, can I afford to neglect something that will make me more productive? And there should always be time for self-care. Because the bottom line is, if you don't look after yourself, no one else is going to. So, I appreciate this has been a very different video, for which I apologise, but I am being mindful of my own needs, and I am practicing self-care by not standing up and doing my normal Qigong set, or not demonstrating the normal short Qigong set that I would do in these videos. So I am putting that into practice, something that I hope will encourage you to do the same. Because although it can seem very weird to sit and do something like mindfulness, the benefits are very real. And for anyone who is like myself on the more mature side of life, there is evidence now that people who meditate and do mindfulness meditations, you can keep your brain working better. So again, that's another very good reason to find some time to do this thing, which, whether you do the mindful movement or any other form of mindfulness, is hugely beneficial, not only with what you're doing then, but with the rest of your life and the rest of what goes on in your day. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. And next week I will be looking at the standing Zen, which is actually an extremely important part of Qigong. Then I will have finished the goal I set out, which was to demonstrate each part of the shibashi set. And I would very welcome input from you for what you would like me to cover in these videos in the future. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.